Hello everyone, welcome. I'm Natasha, certified Centangle teacher. I hope you had a nice day thus far and that you are nice and comfortable. Today I would like to show you the Tangle Dreamcatcher by Daniel Lamotte, CZT. I'll write it down for you. So Dreamcatcher. I came across this tangle a few years ago in the Centangle Apprentice project pack, and I have kind of rediscovered it recently. And it gives you so much options. It's very easy with this tangle to have your imagination sparked. So what will I be using today? I have a white Zendala tile with me, a black PN marker, little pencil, blending stump, and then also to add a little bit of love at the end, still a white jelly roll or another brand. So I noticed that this one is also a very nice one. So I have a nice cup of tea here with me. Try to let go of self-criticism. And I heard if you have a cup of tea or another hot drink, that people are more friendly. So maybe a cup of tea will also enable us to be a bit more friendly for ourselves. Just gonna take a nice deep breath to get started. And then I think I'm ready for it. So I have this nice cotton paper here, which is a real pleasure to draw on. And I'm gonna start very simply by putting a tiny dot in the middle. And then I'm gonna draw like a few rice shapes or flower petals. I'm not gonna draw them too big, because depending on the size of this first layer, it will ultimately depend how many layers we can draw in the end. So just a tiny arc and another one in the other direction, so nothing more than a rice shape. Then I'm gonna turn my tile a little bit. Usually I would say that I will end up with 5 of these tiny rice shapes or flower petals. And the good thing about these Zendala tiles is that you are automatically encouraged to turn your tile as you go along. So another one. And then one more. They are not all equal in size, and the spacing between them is also not exactly equal, but that doesn't really matter. It will all be fine in the end. Okay, so I'm gonna add a next layer here, and I'm just gonna connect the top of these flower petals with each other. If you feel more comfortable doing this first in pencil and then retracing with your pen, that is also fine. I'm gonna draw it directly with the Micron PN pen here. So you can put like a dot in the middle and then connect. I'm gonna draw a slightly curved line and then another one from the other side towards that point. And then actually we are gonna continue to do that until we are satisfied with the number of layers. So again, adding a dot, drawing a line on one side and connecting on the other side. Maybe you already start to see how this will come together. So you see clearly, I didn't even put a dot in this instance. But maybe you already see where we are going here. So that's my second layer of Dreamcatcher. So I'm just gonna add a few more layers until I'm satisfied. So adding another dot and then connecting these. There is nothing difficult about it, and you just have to figure out a bit for yourself how you want to draw it. I noticed myself that when I would draw this second line from the top to the bottom, that it feels a bit uncomfortable for my hand, so I do it now the other way around. So drawing from bottom to top. But that's different for everyone. And there is no wrong or right in this. And that's another layer. So once more, we do the same. I'm gonna go out a bit bigger now. Like this. I really like how this comes together. The shape in itself is already very beautiful. You can do so many things with it. It doesn't have to be complicated at all to be beautiful. And then another one. Okay, that's already kind of nice. And then I'm gonna add another layer. Not in the way that you might think I would, so I'm not gonna start here, adding another dot and then connecting these. But I'm gonna add just one in the middle. So I'm just gonna take the middle of this line here, and then connect these here at the top. So not going all the way to the end of this shape here, but using the middle of these lines. So we again put a dot here in the middle, and then connect this one with this middle here. And then again a dot going to the middle and the middle again. Same here. But if you have even more space to add another full layer, of course, you are free to do so. I think I would even have the space to do it, actually. You could also So my lines are slightly curved across the whole tile actually, but if you want, you can also do this with more pointy lines. It will give kind of a different end result. Maybe I can also show you here in my little book here. There are several ways to draw this. So on the left hand side, we started out a little bit differently with a little orb or circle, and then drawing like a sun shape with all these V's attached to that central orb, and then doing exactly the same, drawing the letter V all the way around. And for me, the end result then looks a bit more like a star shape, and it doesn't really remind me so much of a Dreamcatcher, but it can be nice for Christmas. And this is a very nice one for kids, which they pick up very quickly, and it's very easy for them. I think this version that we have been drawing, like you see on the right hand side here, that this one might be a little bit more tricky for kids who get started with Zentangle. All right, so now we have a beautiful shape, and I hope you see the Dreamcatcher in it to some extent. And we're just gonna add some patterns to it. In this case, I don't think it's even like official tangles or patterns that I will be using. It's a bit more freewheeling, basically, and a bit more, to say it in Zentangle slang. It's more like a fragment probably than really a pattern, but that doesn't matter so much. As long as we are having fun, it's okay. So what am I gonna do now? I'm gonna ink in this initial flower shape with the pen. In the beginning, I was always rushing into it, and we had to ink in a space, but in the meantime I have learned not to do so, and to just enjoy the moment and enjoy the look of your tile and how it changes your tile so dramatically. That's it. I'm not going to do anything with that second layer. I'm going to leave it blank for now. And in the next layer, we are going to draw some inner auras. So we are going to repeat that outer line on the inside. And I think in this case, I will have about 3 of these. So I'm just going to start a little bit off the edge, repeating that line that we drew originally. So that's the first one. Leave some space. That's the second one. And then a third one. So again, I'm turning my tile as I go. And then we go to the next one. I'm gonna just do exactly the same. And draw an inner aura, as we say in Zentangle, or an echoing line. Again, this is not complicated. You just have to figure out a way for yourself how to turn your tile. What is most comfortable for your hand. I do it almost automatically, but I can imagine that if you're new to Zentango, that it still requires a bit of an effort to figure it out. And then the next one. And then the last one. And that's another layer. Okay, in the next layer, it's again a very simple kind of pattern that we are gonna draw. We are gonna draw from the middle here a line from the bottom to the top, and my line will be slightly curved, just like this. And then we are gonna draw one on the left and one on the right. So that's a line to the right, and then so you see again that it is slightly curved. And I'm gonna divide these spaces here again in half. So starting at the same point, drawing a line here to the left and to the right. And I'm gonna do exactly the same on the other side. Drawing a curved line here, dividing that shape more or less in half, and then drawing a line to the left and to the right. And this gives you kind of, it looks a bit like a leaf from a flower. Okay, so we'll just repeat that. A line from the bottom to the top, then dividing the space in half, and then dividing those spaces in half again. So drawing 3 lines on each side. Like this. So this is again very simple, nice and easy. Easy does it. That's it. And at this point in time, something inside me starts to get a bit, I don't know if annoyed is the right word, but there's something not right about this style. And of course I have been choosing these patterns deliberately in this case, because I want to explain something. And in a tile, it's all about balance, about contrast. And here you see that it's actually a bit messy. We have a lot of lines on this tile. And you don't really have this kind of layering effect. It looks a bit chaotic. And there's something we can do about that to have it changed, and that's what we're gonna do. So let's start in first instance with inking in this white space that we have here. So we have been drawing these inner auras in this shape, and we have still a bit of white over here. So we're just gonna ink that in. Actually, for me in the beginning of my Zentangle journey, and still, that's, yeah, can be a bit hard to learn to make a kind of a balanced composition. So you need some light and dark. That's why I actually liked monotangles a lot in the beginning of my Zentangle practice, and I still do. But then you don't have to think about it too much, about making this kind of a balanced composition. And of course, you don't have to overthink it. There are always ways to add some drama and ink to your tile to make it a bit more balanced. It can be in the choice of the patterns itself, or like we are doing now, just adding a bit of ink and a bit of darkness to the tile. That's one step. And then in these leaf shapes, we're also gonna add some more ink, and we're gonna do that here at the bottom in each of these, and then leave one blank, go to the next one, and the same here, yeah, and then in the end these two at the top, they remain blank. Okay, so that's quite a bit of inking in this case, but just remember to breathe and try not to rush into it. And be grateful of the time that you are dedicating to yourself. You could always take a thicker nib to ink in these larger spaces, but this micron pen works just fine in this case. Usually I first ink in the outer edges and then continue on the inside. Maybe you can already see a little bit what's happening. How this is changing our tile. So we do this in every of these leaf shapes, and if you make a mistake, so to say, don't worry about it. You can make a new pattern out of it. Also, if you didn't draw the exact number of lines that I did, then it might also look a bit different, but that's just totally fine. Just be creative and figure out a way to make it yours. So that's already changing the picture quite a bit. If you compare these two and you compare with the lower part of the tile, that already looks quite a bit different. Don't forget to breathe. Check in on your body, how it feels. Try not to hold on to your pen too tightly. Try to relax your shoulders every now and then. Or your neck. You can roll it every now and then as well. Especially if you're drawing for a long time. It's important to be mindful about it. So, 2 more to go. I have a little bit of music on the background here. In the background, sorry. I don't know if you can hear it. It's a bit of calming music. One more. So I hope you can see the difference with the original version. So that looks quite a bit different. So then we have one shape or one layer left. And that original rice shape that we have been drawing at the beginning, I'm gonna repeat that, drawing it from top to bottom here in the middle. Just one big rice shape. I'm gonna do that in each of these. And then I'm gonna repeat that to the left and the right here at the bottom, and then here on the sides as well. But in that case, it will be half a rice shape. Yeah. So here, half one, and then another one on this side. Just like this. So again, nothing difficult about it. And then I'm gonna do that same. So adding half a rice shape here and here on the side. So you get kind of a triangle here. And same here. I don't have the same amount of space everywhere. And that reminds me a bit of the tangle Tripoli that we draw in Zentangle oftentimes. What I'm gonna do then is to kind of squeeze in an orb in that center that touches all three sides. Important for this one is that you will need to slow down a bit to squeeze in that orb. So it's a good exercise to not go too fast and to really squeeze that in. I'm gonna do that everywhere, just squeezing in an orb. It doesn't have to be perfectly round. So really slowing down. And then we're gonna ink in again. So we have these small spaces here in the triangle around this orb, and we're gonna ink in these as well. So these are quite tiny spaces, so again, we have to slow down a bit. Fast is overrated. anyway. So this again adds a little bit of contrast to our drawing. Really lifting up that orb in the center. So even when I'm inking in, I'm turning my tile. This Dreamcatcher is maybe a bit smaller than what I originally planned to do, but it's fine, it's okay. That leaves me even a bit more space to do other things around it, maybe. One more to go. And again, you see the difference between these two, the one where we didn't add the ink and the one where we did. So that looks quite different. So we will start to add already some shades of gray. And the first thing we're going to do with the pencil is to color in the layer that we left blank for now. So just gently coloring that in, you don't have to push too hard. We will blend it out, but the harder you press the pencil, the more difficult it will be to blend it out. What we will also color in is that, the outside of this triangle shape. So we have several bands here, and we're gonna color in with the pencil the outer edge. To add even more contrast to this. And also this will make, will make a difference. You'll see. Okay, then we're also gonna add a little bit of graphite here on the outside of these leaf shapes. Yeah, so here I'm gonna be careful not to add too much, because I don't want the gray to be all over the place. I just want a little bit of contrast again. And even without blending out, you can already see the effect. Shading is a very nice technique to bring some nice contrast in your drawing. But just like with many things, less is more. You can always add some more if you want. But it's not always that easy to undo it if you add too much. Also gonna add a bit of graphite in these rice shapes at the top and the bottom. So just a tiny bit here. I try to hold my pencil in a low angle, that I can be a bit more precise about it. We just want to add a little bit of gray to it, and there's no point in making it all gray, because then again you will not have that contrast that we like so much. These shapes are not so big, so it's might be a bit tricky. Okay, I forgot one here. And also the orbs that we have been drawing in these triangles. I'll just add a little smiley here with a pencil, just a tiny one. And again, these orbs are quite tiny, so I'm being careful not to put too much. Okay, then I think we can start blending it out a bit. So I have my little blending tool here, which still has a nice point to it, which is important, especially if you have been drawing quite tiny, just like myself. I'll start with blending out the gray in the middle here, that flower that we have been coloring in, and just going around it in circles. So you see that it looks a bit nicer now, a bit darker as well, due to the fact that we were blending it out. Sorry if the camera is refocusing sometimes. It's a setting that I am unable to adjust. Because that is not compatible for my iPad. I'm also gonna blend that outer line that we have been coloring in. Here you have to be even a bit more careful. So I try not to go over the line, or at least avoid it as much as possible. And if it happens anyway, no harm done. But again, we want to leave some white here. So I try to stick or to stay between these two lines here. Just gently rubbing the graphite into the paper in tiny circles. Then I'm going to also invite this graphite into the paper here on the outer edges of the leaf shape. And here I'm also careful not to go too far. So just adding a little bit of gray, but I want to leave some white. I'm always amazed what some ink and just this tiny graphite pencil and the blending stump can achieve. On the outsides, we're gonna do the same. And yeah, these shapes are really tiny, so again, I will try to pay some attention, not blending out the graphite too far. If it would all be gray, you would not have any contrast left. And if you pull the graphite out too far, that's not an issue, then that's also a learning opportunity. With really tiny spaces, sometimes you don't even have to add pencil to shade. Oftentimes there is so much graphite still on this little blending stump that just rubbing it into the paper can also already add sufficient graphite to shade your work. The little orbs there, I have to be even a bit more careful, just tiny touch. Graphite really melts into this type of paper. It's cotton paper, and I like it a lot. I have tried many types of paper, but in the end I always return to these original Zentangle tiles. Okay, so as I still have a lot of space left here around the Dreamcatcher shape, I'm still gonna add a few things, and you are free to do so, of course. Yeah, I maybe want to add something a bit more organic to this style. Just gonna add some fescue, which is really easy. It's growing from the Dreamcatcher, just like this. And you can add as many as you like. This is also a really easy pattern that you can use to add some tiny embellishments in your tiles at the end. So I'm just going all around with the fescue. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3 of these. And I have one more corner left to add some more. So this adds something a bit organic to our tile. I hope you like it. All right, now I'm gonna pick up the jelly roll, or this other white pen with white ink, and I'm just gonna add some little tiny details, or adding love to say in Zentangle slang. I'm gonna add just a dot here in the middle. Yeah. And then just add a few dots here in the middle of these flower-like flower petal shapes. Yeah, you can see that. Just like this. And I'm gonna do the same in these leaf shapes. So there in the black areas that we have been inking in, adding dots in the middle of that black shape. This is so simple, but again, it will make quite a bit of difference in the end result of the tile. Be careful if you use the jelly roll. It usually needs a little bit of drying time. And these are just tiny touches, and if you don't feel like doing these, you don't have to, of course. But I really like this kind of effect a lot. And as a last step, I'm just gonna, I still have some room here on the outer edge. I'm gonna add some more graphite over there. I'm really gonna hold the pencil at quite a low angle, And very gently, very lightly, gonna add some graphite. If you really push hard, then it will be harder to blend it out. You can always add a bit more if you find that it's not enough. I really like these round tiles. I use them quite often. So now I'm just gonna, with the tortillon, blend that out, and there is still some graphite on this blending tool or tortillon. I like to add some graphite on the outer edges. I notice that I'm doing this quite often. That's a bit of a finishing touch. Yeah, that's it. So one step left to do, or maybe two, and that's adding our chop or initials to this tile. So I'm just gonna add mine here. And then just admire your work. So, I hope you enjoyed it and that you still have a nice continuation of your day, and speak to you soon. Bye-bye.